Listen to this headline. SPS, Seattle Public Schools, asked city's homelessness team for help. The solution is illegal. So I assumed, based on the headline, that they were going to say there were too many homeless encampments at or near schools or somewhere related to schools.
Mm-hmm.
So the
and there are.
So SPS reached out to the. It's called the Unified Care. Is that what it's called? It's
Unified
called
Care Team.
Unified Care Team. So Seattle Public Schools reached out to the Unified Care Team, who then helped them solve an issue because it's illegal for people to be doing illegal things on the sidewalk. I assumed that was going to be the culprit. When people are doing illegal things, then certainly I did not assume, reading the article, that they were suggesting that the school was doing something illegal. But, of course, this is the Seattle Times. And they like to keep you guessing so that you keep reading.
Do. Yeah. Remember that, because I'm going to bring that up in our next story as well. But go on.
Good.
Go on.
Good. All right. So here's what they say. Basically, Seattle Public Schools reached out to the city. They said near their SODO district headquarters, which is where Seattle Public Schools has their headquarters, they said that there was a RV camp and a bunch of homeless folks who were making it very difficult for staff members and their families to get to and from work without having to be inundated with all of the horrible things that you often see that accompany
public
some
drug
of these encampments.
Public defecation, harassment to employees and family members.
People who are maybe having mental health episodes.
Tents.
Doing
RVs,
things,
squatters everywhere.
Make it difficult for people who are just trying to get to and from work.
And an unsafe condition for the employees and their families for Seattle Public Schools administration building.
So according to the story, Seattle Public Schools reached out to the Unified Care Team and they said, hey, how can we prevent these RVs that keep building up near our headquarters? And what they settled on were something called eco-blocks. Have you heard of eco-blocks before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so eco-blocks are fairly prevalent if you live downtown or you drive around town or you are often in downtown. They block rights of way for people who might want to park there. They block areas where people might pull an RV in.
Yeah, you see them all over town. They're those big, 8-foot long, 6-foot long, I'm not sure the specific dimensions, but they're like, 3 foot by 3 foot by 8 foot or 2 by 2 by 6, depending. They're big blocks put in place in parking spaces to keep RVs from habitually parking in various places where homeless encampments have notoriously, historically, been repeatedly. You sweep them away, they're back the next day.
So here's the piece from the Seattle Times. This is what they said. The Transportation Department confirmed that the school district did not get a permit for these eco-blocks, nor was it aware of the effort to place the eco-blocks. The school district, under the guidance of the Unified Care Team, used public money to buy and place them anyway, in violation of city law. The total project cost the school system $26,400, the district said. The Unified Care Team official coordinating the effort was an employee of Seattle Parks and Recreation, and the department didn't respond to a request for comment. So they're basically saying Seattle Public Schools did something illegal in placing these eco-blocks, which are everywhere in the city.
They're banned by city law from putting eco-blocks into public thoroughfares, street spaces, because it's illegal to impede the public use of public streets. And just because someone is in an RV or a tent, that's not justification for the law that says you can't stop the public from using public streets.
And just to give folks some idea of how many blocks we're talking about, the Seattle Times gives us a little context from a University of Washington study. They said the number of eco-blocks in Georgetown, just south of SODO, now totals 2,400. And again, these are large. They block somebody from parking a vehicle there.
We've all seen them, and they're placed by often businesses or residents, but they're not permitted. The city will not issue. The city says they will not issue permits.
The city says they're illegal. You can be fined for them.
So no permit was requested by Seattle Public Schools. No permit was issued by the Department of Transportation because it's illegal.
But Seattle Public Schools, Seattle Public Schools reaches out to this Unified Care Team official,
who's
and they say,
under the direction of Parks and Rec.
Here's what you guys should do. You should wouldn't you just assume de facto that you are now working with the city to prevent a problem that the city has been unable to fix?
I reached out to the appropriate, which is the Department of Transportation, which governs Parks and Recs.
Yeah.
And they said, what's worked for some people are eco-blocks. Now, I'm not telling you to put eco-blocks in. I'm just telling you, a lot of times people resort to eco-blocks, and we can't ticket these people because they haven't sought permit. We don't know who's doing this. We can't fine anybody. Fine for an eco-block is first offense is $500.
$250.
I'm sorry, $250 first offense.
And then it doubles to $500.
Second is $500. Third, and all future are
doubling.
$1,000 every time.
Yeah.
And the city spent what, $23 $26,000.
Yeah.
The Seattle Public Schools spent $26,000 placing these eco blocks around the perimeter or the border of their Seattle Public Schools the
headquarters.
Downtown headquarters and stuff. Because RVs are downtown SODO is what Georgetown area is one of the few areas of the city where long-term RV parking more than 72 hours is permitted.
Yeah.
And the city stopped writing tickets for
the city
long-term
changed.
parking.
They used to have a 72-hour
Right.
law where if somebody was there for more than a couple days, they'd say, hey,
move it or lose it.
it's time to get going.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. That kind of went away. They stopped ticketing for that. The story says that they started reinforcing that, and they actually did start. They actually did start ticketing vehicles and towing vehicles. I would be interested to see those numbers, though. How many vehicles have actually been removed?
Well, we know they did it. Remember when the NFC Championship came to town last year?
They always do it when there's some spotlight,
right?
This speaks to that
the
larger
World
question.
Cup comes to town,
Yeah.
right? When that area, the alley, Tailgate Alley, they called it, between the Starbucks headquarters. I was going to say the old Starbucks headquarters, but it is still the Starbucks headquarters.
On paper.
On paper. They still have a room in Mom's house where your lacrosse trophies are. And the stadiums, they cleared all those RVs away for those special moments when the cameras were coming to town, like when World Cup came to town.
Sure.
But from you, me, and the postman, average Joe taxpayer in Seattle, they don't enforce these laws.
Yeah.
And now the city of Seattle Public Schools, they decided to try to help their employees keep a safe environment.
Let me read you this statement from Seattle Public Schools. They say each time families and staff are greeted by scenes of panhandling, they're talking about when somebody comes to the headquarters, which they have to from time to time.
Sure.
Maybe you have a meeting there with somebody, an administrative official, maybe whatever. Each time families and staff are greeted by scenes of panhandling, open drug use, yelling, and instability, it communicates, intentionally or not, that the area is unsafe, and by extension that our schools and city are not doing enough, which is what a school official said. I completely agree with them. And the Seattle Public Schools is in a tough spot because if you have a city that's unwilling to deal with that problem, and yet you still want to be able to maintain your business and you still want your employees to feel like you can safely come to and from work without being accosted by somebody who's maybe having a drug episode or a mental health episode, whatever it might be.
Right.
What is Seattle Public Schools supposed to do? I don't understand they're between a rock and a hard place.
Well, funny you say between an eco block and a hard place.
Yeah.
So I would think that somebody like Seattle Public Schools, I mean, they are subject to these conditions, as are so many other businesses in that area of town, right? And the businesses have placed we mentioned the number of blocks that are in the downtown SODO area.
Yeah, 2,400.
That's among just all residents, businesses, and Seattle Public Schools headquarters. I would think the city of Seattle should listen to Seattle Public Schools and say, look, we're going to give you guys an exemption, a permit for this.
But they're not doing that.
They're not doing that. But
No.
I mean, if I'm Seattle Public Schools, okay, well then relocate my headquarters. I mean, you want to save these public spaces, this roadway. You say it's illegal to block this roadway. We're part of the city government. We're Seattle Public Schools administration.
Well, here's a question for you. Who do you think that the mayor's office cares more about? Because now that's what the mayor's office has to decide. Katie Wilson's office is basically saying, here's what Katie Wilson's office said. No Seattle mayor has publicly endorsed eco-blocks as a strategy to resolve RV encampments. Wilson spokesperson Sage Wilson said in a statement that the mayor believes public space should be accessible to everyone. Quote, this is a core public responsibility that should be managed by the city for the benefit of all, he said. So they don't want these eco-blocks. So do they want... But we know that Seattle Public Schools is saying we can't continue to do business here when you have people who are having mental health episodes and drug breakdowns, and they're a danger to us in the community. And if they're not permanent residents, they're not paying to live here. They're just like basically panhandling on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Who are you going to choose? Who's Katie Wilson going to choose? The people in the RVs or the people who are running the schools? Who do you think she's going to choose?
Well, it sounds to me like the spokesperson for them who made this statement fell back on the no mayor has ever, blah, 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 blah.
So they're choosing the RVs.
Well, they're putting the people who are living on the streets in RVs or in tents dealing with addiction and mental health issues on the same level as the administrators we hire to run our school system in Seattle. They're putting them on equal footing on who has the right to that roadway.
Yeah.
A safe work environment for the employees of Seattle Public Schools or the people who are having, I mean, I know I'm not trying to be uncompassionate for those experiencing the homeless crisis.
Guy.
You know I am.
Nobody questions that. Yeah.
But first off, these eco blocks are there, and there's still tents there. I mean, there's no RVs, but there's tents entwined within these blocks.
Yeah.
Give the city the permission, make an exception. They're not They're not running a forgery, a brewery, a tannery, whatever it might be, a bar. You know, I can understand where the city can't just say, well, take up all the roadway you want with eco blocks.
Who should you try harder to protect from this type of a thing than schools?
The people who are trying to help you run your schools.
The people who are trying to run schools. And not only that, I imagine there are children who at times with their parents end up coming to this location. I know this is administrative. This would just be their headquarters. So there's just, you know, mostly adults and probably non-teachers working in those buildings.
Yeah.
But still, who's the city going to prioritize? It seems to me like they are prioritizing the panhandlers and the people who are homeless and the people in the RVs.
Well, if they're not prioritizing, they're putting them on, again, on equal footing with the people working for the city to help make sure that the residents get the kind of educational experience. And it's a practical reality of the situation, this unsafe situation.
Yeah.
And also the perception that you can't keep schools safe. You can't keep our kids safe.
They can't. The city passed that ordinance, right, where they said like some of these encampments, they can be closer to schools because they say we're running out of space to place these things. So they eliminated the distance required that they be from public schools. It's very clear that they don't see them as a threat to any parent, I guarantee you. As much as you might want to support anybody who's going through a tough time,
sure,
and whatever
the empathetic,
it might be,
compassionate, sure,
all the compassionate stuff.
Yeah,
your priority is going to be your kid, 100%.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry that person's on the street. I'm sorry that they're living like that. I don't want anybody to live like that. I hope they get the help that they need. But you're going to prioritize your kid and their ability to go to school. Yeah. And you want to protect them from those environments. And right now, the city finds itself, this speaks to that thing we were talking about earlier, the question of the day, whether or not Seattle's going to return to pre-World Cup condition, or are they going to use this as a springboard to say, hey, you know what? We got really lucky and we got halfway to a clean slate. Let's embrace this and let's keep it a clean city. But I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, there's a quote here from Bill Curley Hackett, who's the Curley Hackett sounds like he's a rodeo guy. Bill Curlin Hackett, former director of the Interfaith Task Force on Homelessness. He points out that these eco blocks don't cure the problem. That, you know, they don't keep people out of RVs. That's not the goal here. The goal is to make sure that the Seattle Public Schools administrative building is a safe and welcoming environment for the city's employees who are serving the city's citizens.
It needs to function as it was designed. It's not designed to be street housing.
No.
It's designed to be the public school headquarters, and the city needs to decide who they want to support.
And if it moves the RVs to a different part of town, okay.
Yeah, then move them.
We'll address the issues of
homelessness. They got
homelessness.
wheels. Right. They're kind of designed for that.
Right, exactly. And we need this building to be a safe, welcoming, reassuring work environment.
Ridiculous. What a ridiculous story.